Hey everyone, so it's Hearth and welcome back to my channel. On today's video, we're going to be talking about how you can identify a fake divination reader versus a real divination reader. Now, this was not the original video I had planned for today, but it is something that I felt was really important to talk about so that we can reduce the damage that some people are causing to the magical community. And this is something that has hit me really close to home this week, as I have received hundreds of DMs on Instagram telling me of several different fake versions of my accounts attempting to scam people out of money for divination readings. Now, this is not something that has solely happened to me. I know that in the past few months, many witchcraft and magical community content creators have had their accounts duplicated for the purpose of making money off their followers, off people who are innocent, who don't know any better. Now, unfortunately, with the way social media is, it's very difficult for the original account holder to do much about it. Now, I do want to say thank you to the hundreds of people who sent me DMs over the past few days telling me that these accounts exist and showing me the information that they are being requested, and I'm doing what I can, but unfortunately I can't control whether these accounts get banned or not. All I can hope to do is to educate as best as I can so that you can better identify whether someone is an authentic reader or whether someone is a fake reader that is out to get your money and your personal information. So let's talk about it. How can you identify a potential fake divination reader? Now, of course, before going into all of this, do remember that just one of these things doesn't necessarily make someone a fake reader who's out to get your money. Some of these things can be done accidentally or by people who are just getting started, or as just general practice. But if you are seeing multiple of these warning signs, it could be a big red flag to say that you need to stay away from this particular reader and to find someone that you are more comfortable with. The first warning sign is that they don't have any kind of personal social media or website presence. Now, although lots of readers will have an Instagram page or a Facebook page, it's really important to look out for personal information, personal details that are going to help you connect with them on a personal one-on-one level. When we're choosing someone to have a divination reading with, we need to be able to connect with them. We need to be able to talk to them. And so it's really useful for a reader to have information about themselves on their social media or website profiles. You're really going to want to find someone who has a photo of themselves that is definitely of themselves and not ripped off a stock image website. You're also going to want to look out for personal information. What kind of readings do they offer? Do they only offer tarot readings or do they also do oracle? What kind of decks do they use? Which system do they use? Do they do other forms of reading as well, such as tasseomancy or runes? Do they have any other practices that go behind them? How long have they been practicing? Are they Wiccan? Are they a witch? What kind of belief system goes behind that? Now, not everyone is going to have all of this information on their profile, but you're really going to want to have something other than a generic stock image and a name that could be entirely fake. Ideally, you really want to find someone who's willing to connect with you, and with that comes personal social media presence. Now, with this also comes the desire to gain positive reviews. And so they're likely going to have a website that has some kind of review feature or a Facebook page that offers reviews. Now, this is quite important because a lot of very authentic tarot, oracle, and other divination readers really work on word of mouth. If they have a good reading, then other people are going to come to them because that person has told their friends or their family or their colleagues. And so by having a rating and review system, it really allows them to show that their readings are good and authentic. If you're finding someone is offering you a reading and they have no website, a faceless social media profile, no reviews whatsoever, you may well be finding yourself getting into a difficult situation with someone who doesn't have your best interests at heart. Now, of course, it's important to remember that if someone is just getting started and they don't have social media presence and they don't have lots of reviews, that doesn't mean that they're going to scam you. It just means that they're new. So it's important to remember here that there's a big difference between just getting started and trying to steal your money. It's just that if you're finding an account just pops out of nowhere and they're claiming to have been a reader for however many decades and they don't have a single person who knows about them, that's a little bit alarming. The second warning sign is that they contact you directly. A good reader is usually too busy and too fully booked to be sending out thousands of Instagram DMs on a daily basis telling you that they feel a vibe off you and need to give you a reading, or your ancestors spoke to them and you really need to have a reading done. True, authentic readers don't have the time or the energy to be sending out thousands of DMs a day claiming that your ancestors are calling out to them, because the reality is they aren't. Real true readers are going to have people coming to them. They are going to have people coming back time and time again because they enjoyed having their first reading done so much they want to have more done. You're going to find that a reader will have friends, family, and colleagues of different people they've already read for booking in with them again and again. They aren't going to be on the hunt for thousands of new clients every single day because their books are probably already full. If you're finding a random faceless account on social media is contacting you via DM saying that your vibes feel off, I guarantee what's more off is their vibes than yours, because this kind of behavior is not that common in a real authentic reader. Now, I think it's one thing if you've posted a story on Instagram or asked if there's any readers out there and then you're getting DMs versus just going about your business and getting a random DM from a random person offering you a reading. Those are two very different things, but just be wary, most readers are not going to be putting the time into spamming thousands of accounts every single day. It's just not worth their time. The third warning sign is that a reader has appeared out of nowhere. Now remember, it's one thing for you to be a new reader and to just be getting started. That's different. But if you're finding that readers with similar account names, readers with the same photo are popping up and then they're disappearing a few days later, that's a massive red flag to say that that account, that reader is fake. Because what will happen is they will create a social media account, they will spam thousands of different people offering readings, and then when enough people will say this is a scam, ban the account will get taken down either by the social media platform or by the company that's doing this, and then a few hours later a new account will be made with a very similar name, with very similar photos, saying very similar things. And this happens really frequently. If you have an authentic reader, they are going to want to build a consistent social media platform. They are going to be active on their social media for extended periods of time. They are going to have months and months worth of images, of information, of history on their account. So if you're seeing that a reader has popped up out of nowhere and they have no information on their account whatsoever and it was only created a few hours ago, it's quite likely that they are not an authentic reader and it might be a fake replicated account of someone who is an authentic reader, which is honestly the most heartbreaking thing ever, because the authentic reader is then being dragged down with these fake accounts that have replicated them. Or it could be a new person who's just started out. So it's really important just to check how long they've been reading for, whether they've just started their business, and what else might be going behind it. But if you are seeing a lot of accounts popping up out of nowhere, be wary, it might not be an authentic person. The fourth warning sign is if they are not respecting boundaries and they are not respecting your requirement for safety. Now, a really good reader is going to have this at the forefront of their mind. They're going to want you to feel safe and comfortable both emotionally and physically. But a non-authentic reader is not going to care about your safety, and they make it exceptionally clear. They have an almost predatory view of you as a potential client, where they will guilt trip you and make you feel emotionally vulnerable in order to gain a reading out of you. So for instance, you might find that they will approach your social media profile and they will tell you that your grandfather would really like to communicate with you. That immediately is a massive red flag because it brings up a strong emotional response in a lot of people. You can walk up to anyone over the age of 25 and say that their grandfather, grandmother, great aunt, great uncle, whoever it might be, wants to communicate with them, and it's quite likely that they will have experienced a death in their family, whether that is in recent years or at least in recent memory, and then that will trigger an emotional response, which then might lead you to paying for a reading that isn't authentic in any way. An authentic reader is never going to guilt trip you into having a reading. They are never going to purposefully attempt to trigger a negative emotional response in order to gain money from you. An authentic reader will set boundaries before a reading starts. They will talk about the things that you do and don't want to talk about. If something comes through that they think is going to make you uncomfortable, a reader will often not tell you unless you specifically give them consent to give you that information. An authentic reader is never going to want to put you in a dangerous emotional situation with something that comes through in that reading, whether that is through tarot or whether that is through mediumship. They are never going to want to put you in a dangerous emotional situation. So if you're finding that a random person has approached you offering you a reading in regards to a particularly emotional part of your life, please make sure that you do your research before you fall for it, because a lot of people do use this emotional manipulation in order to gain money out of you. And it doesn't just have to be emotional safety. It's often physical safety and financial safety too. Sometimes you will find that a reader will do an initial reading and then a few days later they'll tell you that they've got more information and they will need another payment for another reading. And this has the potential to rinse people of money, particularly those that are the most vulnerable within our society. Alongside this, they're likely to also conduct their readings in very unusual, unconventional ways. They might undertake the entire reading via DM on Instagram, which is a little bit strange considering most readers prefer to work either in person, over the phone, via Zoom, or via Skype. Now, of course, this doesn't apply for every reader. There are plenty of email readers out there. But if you are asking what kind of readings that they do and the only readings that they offer are via Instagram DM, that's a little bit strange because a lot of readers would ideally prefer at least some form of face-to-face or verbal interaction with you so they can better understand what it is that you are asking and also get a better feel for you as a person so that they can give you a more authentic, more realistic reading. The fifth warning sign is a big one, and that is they will hunt for personal information. And not only will they hunt for personal information, they're going to make you feel grateful that they're doing it. They'll often send you a DM saying that they're going to offer you a free reading because your vibes are off. And then they'll say that they need your full name, date of birth, a personal photograph, and information about you. Now, this reading might be from a real reader, who knows? It might also be copied and pasted off the internet. That is also something that is fairly common. The reading might end, you might feel very happy about your free reading, but what you don't realise is that that reading isn't quite as free as you might expect. They have essentially taken all the information off you that they need in order to steal your identity, or they will sell your information to the highest bidder. This is how a lot of these people function. They'll offer you a free reading, but they'll require all of this personal information. Now, some readers do require this information, but a lot of readers don't. They might require your date of birth and your first name, but usually they'll never ask for your full name and your date of birth, and they'll usually never ask for all of those things as well as a photograph. They might require a first name and a photograph, or a date of birth and your first name. I don't know of many readers who require all three of these things, and certainly not one that you aren't interacting with in a face-to-face environment. Oftentimes, readers will want as little information off you as possible, mainly because the more information you give, the more likely it is that their opinions and their ideas will sway the reading. The term hot reading and cold reading really comes into this. The more information someone has about you, the more they can choose and pick answers that they think are going to be the most suitable. Really, a reader wants to make sure this happens as little as possible by getting as little information off you as you can. So if they're offering you a free reading but requiring all of this information, please run quickly in the opposite direction, because this might end way worse. You might find that they start stealing your financial information, that they start stealing your identity, and that's really not something that you want to be dealing with. And the fifth warning sign for me is that they are always ready to read. This to me is a little bit alarming. A good reader usually has pretty full books. They aren't usually able to get you in for a same-day reading unless they happen to have a last-minute cancellation. So a lot of these people will send you a DM at 4 a.m. in the morning, and although you might think, sure, maybe they're in a different time zone, if you then get another DM at 6 a.m. and another at 8 a.m. and another at 10 a.m., you're quickly realizing that one, this might be a bot, and two, they have no one on their books. They are not reading for anyone that day. And although readers don't have to have full books all the time, it's really important to remember that a good reader is going to have repeat clients. If they aren't having people booking with them time and time and time again, that maybe says something about them as a reader and whether or not you're going to want to be interacting with them. Now, of course, if you're just getting started, you are not going to have full books, but it's a bit strange to me when people are getting repeated DMs every 2 hours throughout the entire day, because that to me screams, this is a bot and it's not actually a real person. Now, with all of these things, it's important to remember that some readers will do these things and they won't realize that scam artists are doing them as well. Sometimes they're doing them without realizing how it might be implied to the client. But with a little bit of research, you can quickly figure out who is authentic and who is not. If you're finding a profile looks almost identical to a member of the magical community that is present on social media, such as myself or many other members of the community, but their account feels off, maybe their name is slightly different, or the photos aren't quite as high quality, or the links in the profile don't work, that's a really surefire sign that that is a scam account and they have replicated all of the information so they can attempt to make money out of other people. If they don't have any social media presence and if no one has ever heard of them, that is also a little bit alarming. So now that we've gone through a few of the ways you can identify a non-authentic reader, how do you find an authentic reader? Well, most of them will have an extensive social media presence and people will be talking about them. I attend a lot of MBS and witchcraft shows with my business, and I can walk up to any person in that room and ask them for a recommendation on a reader, and I guarantee they will give me at least 2, because the people who enjoy having readings done are going to have their favorites and they're going to want to talk about them, they're going to want to share them. If you ask people on social media for their recommendations for their favorite reader to go to, and you see the same recommendation time and time and time again, and it's not from the reader themselves, that's usually a really good sign, because people want to talk about readings that they've had that are really good and really good for them. They are going to have a social media presence that people can respond to, comment on, talk about, share, post reviews. They're likely also going to have a website, business cards, and almost every single kind of social media you can think of. They are going to have Instagram, they are going to have Facebook, they are going to have Twitter, they're probably also going to have TikTok. And so you're going to be able to spot these readers from a mile off because they're going to have lots of good reviews, but they are also going to have a really long-standing social media presence that is well maintained. They're going to be posting frequently, they're going to be present, they're going to be answering emails, answering messages. And that's another really good sign. If they have an email or a phone number that you can contact them on that is local, that really helps you to know that they are an authentic person, they are not just a bot. And that really goes a long way to figuring out whether you can trust someone or not. The second positive sign is that they are not going to function through DMs. This leads from the first positive sign. Most people who are authentic readers are not going to have the time in their day to be sending thousands of DMs, and because of that, they are not going to work through DMs. They will likely respond to you if you request a reading via DM, but they're not going to actively reach out to a whole bunch of strangers on Instagram that they have no idea if they're even interested in having a reading. You'll often find that these people will work on an intense system. They will have a lot of people booked in, they will have a lot of people wanting readings and not enough time in the day. And that means they are not going to be willing to waste their time sending thousands of people messages that might never be responded to. Which leads me into the third positive sign. That is if a reader has very full books. When I attend MBS shows and witchcraft shows, most of the readers have full books before the event has even opened. Often, most readers will be fully booked for both days of the show before they even arrive at the show because so many people really want to get readings off them. If you're finding that someone can't fit you in that week and will have to fit you in the following week, don't take that as a bad sign. That's a really good sign. That means that people are coming back time and time again. People are actively seeking out their readings. And good things are usually worth the wait. If you find a really good reader, they're likely going to have very full books. If you find someone whose books are empty, it might not be a good thing. The fourth positive sign is that they require payment for readings. As much as some people within the community like to say that if you have a gift, you should give it away for free, a free reading is a massive red flag for me because it tells me that they're going to be gaining financial compensation in other ways, and that might be by selling your personal information. Readings will typically cost between £35 and £65, though the duration of the reading, the type of reading that's being undertaken, and the person that you're having a reading with is going to vary that. Even if someone is just starting out, charging £5 or £10 for a reading is really acceptable because readings take time, they take energy, they take effort, they take all of those years of learning how to read effectively, and they take the cost of having a table, having the cards, having a space to do that reading in. Reading is not free as much as some people like to claim that it is. And if you're seeing that someone is requiring payment, even if it's just a small amount, that's reassuring to me, because it means that they are gaining compensation through me paying them versus someone who is earning compensation by selling my private information or stealing my identity. This is something that I think a lot of people overlook. They seem to think that free is better, when actually I would argue that spending money for a good reading is better than getting something for free, because if something is worth having, it's worth paying for. And you allow them to compensate their time, their energy, their effort, and everything else. So please be wary if you're seeing someone offering free readings, but also if someone is charging ridiculous amounts of money for a reading, that's also not good. But kind of in the middle between, say, like £20 and £65 is pretty commonplace for the majority of readers, depending on the extent of the reading. Also, check how they are receiving that money. Most authentic readers will have a business account, whether that is a business PayPal account, a business bank account that you can transfer money into. They are going to be doing things in a way that is legal and allows them to function as a business. If someone is wanting cash under the table or is wanting you to send money through a dodgy, uncertain means, take a step back and really make sure that they are authentic and that they're safe, because some people, although they charge money, will still try to steal your money. So please just be careful. But generally speaking, if you're at an event and they have a card reader, that usually means that they're putting it into a business account, which means that they are authentic. They are doing their job properly as a business. They are not pretending to not be a business for financial gain, and they're also probably not going to steal your money either, because it's a lot harder to get away with it, especially in this country. And lastly, they are going to want to share some personal information with you. They are going to want to make that connection with you on a personal level. They're going to want to show you that they are not a robot, that they are not just a mass-produced thing. They want to connect with you deeply, and by doing that, it allows them to give really good readings for you as an individual. They're going to want to show their face. Ideally, they're going to want to be working through a safe means like Skype. They are going to want to make you comfortable, and if you aren't comfortable, then that isn't the reader for you. They're going to want to be telling you the information about themselves, about how long they've been reading, the kind of readings that they do. Have they appeared in anything that you can see them on? Do they do any shows? They're going to want to give you that information. And not only that, they're going to give you the freedom to make that choice. They aren't going to be pushing and pushing and pushing and pushing till you finally give in and have a reading with them. They're going to give you that freedom of choice. There's not going to be any guilt tripping. There's not going to be any emotional manipulation. They are going to want you to have a connection with them. And in some cases, you might find that readers will actually offer a 10 minute consultation for free to figure out whether or not you connect with them on a personal level. And if you don't, then there's no hard feelings. They aren't going to guilt trip you into doing a reading. So a real, authentic, true, good reader is going to want to make you feel comfortable, make you feel safe, ensure that you are both emotionally, physical, and financially safe. They are not going to want to put you in harm's way. They are not going to push so hard that they can cause emotional damage, but they're also going to make sure that you have a really good reading. And because of that, people will want to go back to them time and time again. So that is how I personally would identify a non-authentic reader and an authentic reader. And honestly, it's sad to me that we have to talk about this in this way. It's sad to me that there are so many people out there who want to take advantage of people in vulnerable situations. So I'm going to reiterate, not just for myself, but for also the other people on social media in the witchcraft community who are having this happen to them. If you get a DM off a content creator that has never interacted with you before, and it says something like, "Hey babe, your vibes feel off, can I do a reading for you?" please block the account. Please. And if you know that that account is a duplicate to an actual content creator, you can go through the system and make Instagram, make Facebook, make whatever platform it might be aware that they have duplicated someone's account for the purpose of scamming people. Because sadly, it makes the actual content creator, whether that is a YouTuber, whether that is a TikToker, whether that is an Instagrammer, it makes them look bad if they offer readings and someone is duplicating their account to scam people. And it really does break my heart when I see this happen. So once again, thank you to everyone who sent me a DM about this happening to my account. I will reiterate again that I do not offer readings. So if you get a DM off me, saying that I want to give you a reading. I don't, because I don't do readings for people. I don't have the time to do readings for people. And also, I can barely respond to the DMs I get that are normal questions. I am not going to be sending out thousands of DMs every day asking people for readings. So with that all being said, I hope that you did find this useful, and I'm so sorry for anyone out there who has had terrible experiences with these non-authentic readers. If you have any other tips on how to identify a good reader from a bad reader, please let us know in the comment section so that we can help spread awareness for this, because unfortunately I don't think that this is going to change anytime soon. With the occult industry being as big as it is, we are always going to see scam artists. And there comes a point where we can't get rid of them fast enough. We simply need to educate ourselves so that we aren't putting ourselves at risk of being scammed. So with that all being said, I hope you did enjoy this video. I know it's not quite my usual content, but I hope that it was informative. If you did like it, feel free to give it a like. It really means so much to me. If you do have any questions, comments, concerns, video ideas, or just want to chit chat, feel free to put it down in the comment section. And if you do enjoy the magical content on this channel or on this video, feel free to hit subscribe. I try my best with magical content every single week. So with that being said, I hope you all staying safe. I hope you have a marvelous magical day, and I will see you in the next video. Bye! I have all of my notes on this. Here we go, look at this. I got all my handwritten notes on my iPad. I discovered this app recently that allows you to like write things in notebooks, and it's so great because I lose notebooks every waking minute of the day, and the fact that I can now have stuff automatically saved to a device means I won't lose it. Miracle. And I feel like I just completely changed the colour of the screen. Anyway. Oh, I am now blue. I am now very blue. I might be a little too blue. Okay, I think that's okay. Okay. I really need to put new batteries in that. I could be a better boyfriend than him. I could do the shit he never did. I preferred it where it was before. Typical. Up all night, I won't quit. It's raining so hard right now. I'm sorry if you can hear that for this entire video. It's kind of this unavoidable thing that because there's so many windows, you can always hear when it's chucking it down. And Storm Eunice is kicking our ass right now. And yeah, it's very windy, it's very wet outside, so if you can hear that, I'm really sorry. I really hope this video wasn't boring. It's a really important topic, but YouTube does not like content like this. It just doesn't like it at all. It will not push it, it will not talk about it. But I wanted to talk about it, so here we are, I'm talking about it. So we're just gonna have to deal with it.